Hey, 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 it is Tuesday. Welcome aboard to the Daily Dope. That's right. And the big Singapore summit is over, and I have to admit, I don't think anything's going to come about from that. But hey, I could be wrong. But I've got a big show ahead, so let's get into it because the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 everybody. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back again as your host here at the Daily Dope. And I just also happen to be the Grand Poobah of thegaminggang.com. So welcome aboard. Today is Tuesday, June 12th. It's Origins Game Fair week. Getting close, getting close. A lot of my friends I know in the industry are already there. And Elliot Miller and I will be leaving tomorrow night. So we're going to miss out on Wednesday, but you got to do what you can do, right? So we're actually going to be hanging out there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and probably a little bit of Sunday. Do want to point out that a certain kitty is on my lap at the moment. Yes, Smokey is sitting on my lap. I don't know how long that's actually going to stay in effect, because she usually hangs out for a little bit when she's on my lap, and then she takes off. So I see she's already kind of eyeing the table over here. Anyway, I've got a big show ahead of us today. I was super pumped because GMT Games sent me their latest releases for review. And I was a little concerned. I was a little worried because I hadn't seen anything recently. Where are you going? No, you are not. Hey, Andrew Barbier's chiming in saying hello to me and Smokey. So howdy, howdy, Drew. Good to have you joining me once again. I should point out, chat is available. It is available through YouTube. This is a live stream. I know a vast majority of people don't watch live, but if you are, feel free to say howdy. I am going to actually be unboxing and taking a first look at Fort Sumter, the Secession Crisis, 1860 to 1861, from GMT Games. It's designed by Mark Herman. This is one of the titles I was super pumped to check out. As I was mentioning, GMT had I hadn't seen their latest releases, right? Because right as rain, I always get the GMT releases for review, and I was like, "What's going on? Did somehow get lost in the mail, or did somebody swipe the box from outside the house or something?" So I was really excited because I did receive it yesterday. I know I was gonna do Burning Land unboxing for Armageddon War from Flying Pig Games, but I figured, you know what? I haven't even taken a look at the actual core game yet, so we can put off the unboxing of the expansion until I get back from Origins. So anyway, Fort Sumter showed up, and get ready for this. Smokey, what are you doing? Relax, sweetie. Cataclysm, a Second World War. This looks really wild. This looks very, very cool. You're able to, see you later, kiddo. You're able to actually create almost like an alternate history of the Second World War, a la kind of like Hearts of Iron from Paradox Interactive, which is an awesome series on PC that I have played for years. So this is looking very, very cool. I'm going to actually unbox this tomorrow and take a first look, because I am going to get a show in tomorrow before I leave for Origins, because we're not leaving until about 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So, going to get this in. I am excited about that. There was also the expansion for Fighting Formations, the Battle for Kharkov, which arrived as well. So we'll be looking at this in the near future. And also in the box was Fortress Sevastopol from UGG, because they are distributed by GMT here in the US. Interestingly enough, this already arrived previously. We did an unboxing of this game, so that means I've got an extra copy. So you know what that means? gonna do a giveaway. Of course, I will talk about that when I get back. I think I'm probably gonna do it for our patrons on Patreon, because it's been I think it's been a couple of months since I did a giveaway. Anyway, as I was saying, chat is available through YouTube. This is a live show. The chat is not on screen simply because it helps keep some of the oddballs away. All right, so as I mentioned, I got a big show, quite a bit of news today. And of course, we're going to be taking a look at Fort Sumter, which I'm excited. This looks pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, it's Mark Herman. Come on, a Mark Herman design? It's got to be good. But let's take care of the news first, because a new sequel to Martin Wallace's Brass is arriving this August from Roxley Game Laboratory, a company I'm not familiar with. But here's the dope. Brass Birmingham is an economic strategy game sequel to Martin Wallace's 2007 masterpiece, Brass. Okay, their words as far as masterpiece. Birmingham tells the story of competing entrepreneurs in, you guessed it, Birmingham, during the Industrial Revolution between the years of 1770 and 1870. As in its predecessor, you must develop, build, and establish your industries and network in an effort to exploit low or high market demands. This is a finely brewed, full standalone sequel to the original game. The dynamic board setup makes each game unfold completely differently, while the core rules stay true to the original. The game's new canal rail scoring creates tactics in where you place them. I should say canal / rail scoring, because I believe early on in the 18th century you're using canals, and then in the 19th century I believe you use rails. Anyway, Birmingham features new actions, mechanics, and strategies to discover, and the 3 new industry types include breweries, sweet, potteries, and manufactured goods. The game is played over 2 halves: the canal era, years 1770 to 1830, and the rail era, years 1830 to 1870. To win the game, score the most victory points. VPs are counted at the end of each half for the canals, rails, and established, flipped industry tiles. Birmingham features dynamic scoring of the canals and rails. Instead of each flipped industry tile giving a static 1 victory point to all connected canals and rails, many industries give 0 or even 2 victory points. This provides players with the opportunity to score much higher value canals in the first era and creates interesting strategy with industry placement. Iron, coal, and cotton are 3 industries which appear in both the original Brass as well as in Brass Birmingham. Brass Birmingham is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in 2 to 3 hours, and will carry an MSRP of $59.99 when it arrives this August. Must admit, I have not really played too many Martin Wallace designs. Gosh, which one? I think the last time as weird as this sounds, the last time I played a Martin Wallace design, it was, gotta say, the Doctor Who card game from Cubicle 7? I think that's actually the last time. But I do have my buddy Louie in Arizona swears up and down that Steam, another Martin Wallace design, is the greatest game ever devised. He swears by it, although, gotta be honest, I never played it with Louie. Never played it with anyone. Alright, anyway, there is another game, honestly, I haven't played that always seems pretty cool, and there's a new expansion for it, which is arriving this month. Yep, there's a new expansion for the Networks from formal Ferret Games, and it's hitting on June 27th. Here's the dope on Teletime. The Networks Teletime, an expansion for the Networks, features 9 genres and a new Noughts and Crosses way to get a genre bonus. I think Noughts and Crosses is sort of like bingo. Anyway, with the shows in this item likely to be familiar to those from the UK, Teletime comes in a small tuck box which contains 59 cards and 35 small plastic chips. Most of the cards are new TV shows. 45 of the cards in Tallytime are brand new shows. There are 3 new genres represented. Chat shows, which have a special power. The moment you develop one, you may rotate all stars and ads in one of your time slots, including the one the chat show is going into, to their good sides. Quiz shows also have a special power. At the end of each season, you may use any quiz shows active in your lineup to convert money into viewers at a rate of $1 million to 1 viewer, up to $3 million for 3 viewers for each active quiz show in your lineup. Wow, that's pretty expensive to get viewers to your network, huh? Kids shows have no special explicit powers. Well, I hope there wouldn't be anything explicit on a kids show. Wah, wah. But tend to get you a lot of viewers for their cost. And you can stuff them with ads. Yeah, because most cartoons back in the day were just simply 21 minutes of a big, long animated advertisement. Yes, I'm looking at you, Transformers and G.I. Joe. And yeah, anyway. But the children's shows only want to go on your earliest slot, with a big penalty if you put them on in the wrong time slot. Note, you must have the networks in order to play Tallytime. The network's Tallytime is partially compatible with the networks on the air, but the designer doesn't recommend playing it with the shows from on the air, but it works just fine with the stars, ads, and network cards from that expansion. Or is it a deluxe edition? No, I think it's an expansion. The network's Tallytime is fully compatible with the network's executives. Mogul cards work the same way, except that you pick them up when you move the marker on your genre bonus-o-meter to the end. The game is for 1 to 5 players, ages 13 and up, and plays in 45 to 90 minutes. Tallytime will carry an MSRP of $15. So I have to laugh because I get a kick out of how the box cover art for this focuses on the IT crowd, right? So it's Roy and Moss, and then below that looks like that's supposed to be absolutely fabulous, or as fans of that show would call it, ab fab. So I thought that was kind of cool. I have not played the networks. My good buddy Herman Lettman, game designer extraordinaire, who I will be talking to, doing an interview with at Origins, he really digs it. He really likes the networks. I'll have to ask him about it when I see him. But I always thought that's pretty cool. I always like the idea of a game which allows you to be kind of the head of a network, scheduling your lineup and things like that. So, pretty sweet. Another piece of sweet news is about Thunderstone Quest, because if you missed out on the Kickstarter, which is phenomenal, take heart, as the deck-building dungeon crawl is returning to Kickstarter this July, and I've got the dope from AEG. Thunderstone returns with Thunderstone Quest. Recruit your heroes, arm your party, then visit the dungeon. And the dungeon has new perils not seen in prior Thunderstone releases. All new dungeon tiles create new challenges and rewards as you explore deeper and deeper in the dungeon. Each quest brings new dungeons as well as new side adventures. And why are we not seeing the news? What's going on here? Let's double check something. I think I might have accidentally bumped one of these settings on this news slide area that I do all the time. No, it's not changing at all. That's really bizarre, because the same thing happened yesterday, and I do have those items in there. So it's like, all right, what in the world is going on? I think maybe it'll work now. Anyway, hey, just trying. It's actually, there aren't a ton of images as far as, there we go, much better. As far as with the Thunderstone Quest that are from AEG. Anyway, if you're not familiar with it, Thunderstone is a fantasy deck building game. Each player starts with a basic deck of cards they can use to purchase or upgrade to other, more powerful cards. Thunderstone Quest brings new play modes to the table. The game will tell a specific story with a series of preset dungeon tiles, monsters, heroes, and support cards. Each will come with a series of mini-adventures and a story booklet that tells players what happens as they progress through the scenarios. Once players have completed the quest, they'll be able to enjoy great replay value with the available selection of monsters, heroes, and support cards, as well as new dungeon tiles, by choosing random setups before the start of play. Aside from heroes such as wizards, fighters, rogues, and clerics, cards include supplies that heroes need, like weapons, spells, items, or light to reach further into the dungeon. The dungeon deck is created by combining several different groups of monsters together. Certain groups of monsters may be more or less susceptible to different hero types, so players have to take this into account when they choose what to buy. The new retail core set is going to arrive, I want to say it's in the fourth quarter, and it's going to contain all the basic components of the game as well as 2 quests. Now, the MSRP for that starter package is $69.99. There are going to be additional quests available separately for $39.99 each. There are also solo and co-op systems, which will also be showing up in retail at a future date. But do want to point out, you won't have to worry too much about retail editions if you jump on the Kickstarter, which is going to return on July 17th. Because that is going to be I believe it's going to be the Champions level pledge, as well as a new quest. So for those who have already gotten the Champion level massive cube, which you should check out my review if you have not, you'll be able to get that as far as on the Kickstarter. Plus, there's a new quest that those of you who already have Thunderstone Quest can pledge support for. I gotta point out, this is a great opportunity for you to get the massive box, because if memory serves me right, I think that was $100 pledge level, and it includes like 6 quests and lots of extra goodies, and it is selling brand new and shrink for about $100 right now on the secondary market. So this is your opportunity to jump on board, get that big cube of Thunderstone Quest, and save yourself lots of dough, because there's so much in it, it's going to blow away the retail edition of the game. I can tell you that right now. So, pretty cool. It's going to be July 17th. And I recently reviewed Thunderstone Quest. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. It is that good, and we have been playing the hell out of that game. Elliot, I introduced it to Elliot. Elliot really enjoyed it, and of course, my nephew Cameron and some of his friends, we've been playing that a lot. All right, let's move on to some RPG news here, because Paizo has revealed their October products for Pathfinder and Starfinder, and I've got the dope, and I have to admit, Smokey's sitting on my lap. I have like a cat hair hanging on my nose, so hold on. It's, I'm sitting there like, woo! God, here. Almost making me sneeze. All right, so lots of news from Paizo. So let's dive right on in. So, first off is the Pathfinder Adventure Path Rune Plague, which is going to be the third part of the Return of the Rune Lord's Adventure Path, as the heroes discover a nefarious plot to spread a magical plague through Varisia's greatest cities. As they travel the breadth and width of the land, they not only face cultists eager to transform people into monsters, but the spreading influence of other rune lords as their agents stir to life. Will the heroes be able to halt the resurrection of one rune lord and the rebirth of another? Or will they become monstrous minions of the polymorph plague themselves? Runeplague is a Pathfinder role-playing game adventure for 9th level characters by Richard Pett. The adventure continues the return of the Runelord's Adventure Path, an exciting continuation of the Runelord saga set in the frontier lands of Varisia. A selection of new monsters, a presentation of the monstrous demigod Yamasoth, and rules for magical pools capable of imbuing great powers or curses round out this volume of the Pathfinder Adventure Path. That will carry an MSRP of $24.99. Also for Pathfinder is the campaign setting Sandpoint, Light of the Lost Coast. Though I have to admit, I kind of found the cover artwork for this to be a little boring. I'm used to something a little more exciting from Pathfinder covers. Just sort of a POV shot of you on a ship as you're coming into the harbor or something. I don't know, didn't jump out at me, but anyway. The town of Sandpoint has been through a lot, between goblin raids and dragon attacks and crazy killers stalking the night. In Pathfinder campaign setting Sandpoint, Light of the Lost Coast, the fan-favorite town is presented in great detail, with full stat blocks for the region's important NPCs, dozens of quests, and expanded information on every major location in the town and the hinterlands beyond. It also includes a double-sided pull-out poster map of Sandpoint and the surrounding region, which is featured prominently in Pathfinder adventure paths like Rise of the Runelords and the Pathfinder Beginner's Box since the birth of Pathfinder in 2007. This oversized 96-page campaign setting book is a guide to creating your very own campaign in Pathfinder's most popular town. This will carry an MSRP of $26.99. There are also pocket editions of the NPC Codex and Advanced Race Guide. Each will be available for $19.99, and those, of course, are softcover. Then for Starfinder, we've got the Alien Archive 2. Battle or befriend more than 100 weird and alien life forms in this creature collection for the Starfinder role-playing game. Every new world and space station comes with its own dangers, from strange new cultures to extraterrestrial predators to massive spacefaring organisms capable of battling starships. Inside this book, you'll find rules and ecological information for creatures from across the known worlds, plus exotic alien gear, complete magical polymorphing rules. Boy, they're into polymorphing for October, aren't they? And more. A robust selection of template graphs gives you the tools you need to populate any planet with environment-appropriate fauna, and racial rules for many of the new species lets you be the alien. Want to play an intelligent, multi-legged centipede? An emotionless, mask-wearing mollusk? An uplifted bear? Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Explore the limits of your galaxy and your game with Starfinder Alien Archive 2, which will carry an MSRP of $39.99. Month wouldn't be complete without a new episode of the Starfinder Adventure Path, and this time it is the Rune Drive Gambit. The heroes must infiltrate a secluded Aslanti science facility and liberate the captive scientists forced to study an experimental starship drive to keep it out of your enemy's hands. They soon learn of the device's reality warping power firsthand. I wonder if it's an improbability drive. But standing in their way is the dastardly Aslanti noble who has orchestrated the entire plot. The Rune Drive Gambit is a Starfinder role-playing game adventure for 4 5th-level characters by Larry Wilhelm. The adventure will conclude the Against the Aeon Throne Adventure Path, a 3-part monthly campaign in which players visit and explore some of the worlds of the sinister Aslanti Star Empire. It also includes advice for how to continue the campaign, a detailed exploration of the peacekeeping organization known as the Stewards, and a selection of new monsters from alien worlds. That will carry an MSRP of $22.99. The October Paizo releases will wrap up with the classic Flip Mat, Ancient Dungeon for $13.99, and a brand new Flip Tiles Forest Perils expansion for $19.99. Wow, that was a lot of Pathfinder news. So that is all the goodies that are coming from, I should say, Pathfinder and Starfinder. Those are all the goodies coming in October from Paizo Inc. I should also point out that right now, I believe it started today and it runs through June 22nd, that fans of Pathfinder, especially third-party products for Pathfinder, should go check out Drive-Thru RPG because they are having a sale. They're having a sale. I wasn't even reading that. A sale. Boy, that cat hair just kind of threw me off. Anyway, there's a sale over at Drive-Thru RPG on almost 7,000 Pathfinder PDF products. I believe there's Starfinder stuff in there too, so I want to say it's Paizo, but I think they're calling it a Pathfinder sale. But you can save 25% or more on, as I mentioned, nearly 7,000 Paizo-related products at Drive-Thru RPG, and that is through June 22nd. Also, another item as far as role-playing games, this is probably going to be my last highlight as far as free RPG day, because even though there's a few other things I thought looked pretty cool, I'm not seeing a whole lot of info about, like, in-depth. Like, for an example, there was a Malifaux, Penny Dreadful adventure from Weird Miniatures, and I thought, hey, that looks kind of cool. I'll tell you, the artwork for the cover, couldn't learn anything about it. There's nothing out there. So, I do want to point out something that I'm pretty pumped to take a look at, and I might be able to get a copy of this at Origins, is the Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory Quick Start, which will be available from your friendly local game stores, at least as long as they're participating in Free RPG Day. And this is going to be coming from Ulisses North America. Ulisses North America will be providing the highly anticipated Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory. It's going to be an intro to the game, and the game itself has a core book release for this year's Gen Con. So, this is going to be available this Saturday, and I gotta say that this doesn't look like the usual sort of quick start product that we sometimes tend to see from companies, because it seems pretty substantial. Do want to point out, I know that there were people who were really disappointed in the quick start that Ulysses did for The Dark Eye, and I have a copy of it, and yeah, it's really lightweight and really doesn't provide a whole lot about the game. I think this is going to be different. I think because there are loads and loads of people who are really, really looking forward to this. So, the Quick Start and Adventure, Blessings Unheralded, includes 4 pre-generated characters, but there are also 2 additional characters which are available for download at the Ulisses North America website. I'm sharing some images of those 2 right now. I will point out that Ulisses North America is a silver sponsor of Free RPG Day, so that means there will be 5 copies of Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory available in each promotional box. Now, there are a lot of game stores out there that only order 1 promotional box each year, so you want to make sure that you get there early if this is one of those items that you really want to get your hands on. And I gotta say, this looks really, really cool. Also want to point out, although the role-playing games and quick starts and adventures don't cost you anything, your friendly store does have to purchase these items. So, I recommend when you go in for Free RPG Day, get there early, number 1, and you should support your FLGS by making some sort of a purchase while you're there. So, very cool. That looks pretty cool. Something I should point out is that on Saturday at Origins Game Fair, if you're going to be at Origins at 8 p.m., if you go to the, I want to say it's called the Third Mare or Tri-Mare. Look it up. It's right by the convention center. Ulisses North America is going to be hanging out there, and for the first 200 people to walk in the door, you will get a copy of the quick start for Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory. So Ulysses, as far as I understand, they don't have a setup. They don't have they're not exhibiting there, but obviously enough, Ian Starcher and or Eric Simon will be there. I'm going to reach out to them, see if they want to sit down for another interview, because we had a lot of fun at C2E2 doing an interview, and I want to talk to them and find out a bit more about the Living Land Kickstarter, which finished up for Torg Eternity not too long ago, because that should be coming out very soon. Get a little more info. There's some new Dark Eye stuff that's going to kickstart shortly, and of course talk a bit about Wrath and Glory, because the pre-order is available for that right now. That I believe that started this week, so pretty cool. All right, so anyway, wanted to point out that made some changes in my planned coverage for Origins Game Fair, and I'll explain why. So originally, yeah, let me grab a sip here. It's always dry down here, I swear. Originally, my game plan was to do interviews, shoot some demos. I'm hoping to film some game demos in the evening with people, you know, sitting around playing different stuff. Still plan on doing that. Originally, my game plan was to actually get some stuff out there during the show. To kind of, you know, for an example, I've got some interviews set up for Thursday. So maybe get one or two of those interviews out on Thursday nights. So that was my original plan, but the more I've thought about it, I'm not going to do that. Reason being is I'm down to one laptop, and that's not a very powerful laptop. My original laptop that I had actually had more memory put in, all this other stuff. Well, it bit the dust. So I'm kind of down to a halfway decent laptop, but it doesn't have a lot of processing power as far as rendering videos, putting in different, you know, lower thirds into the videos, things like that. So I don't want to have to sit there having, you know, my laptop trying to render stuff take 4 hours for a 15-minute interview, right? Plus, if something were to happen to that laptop, then I'm going to be out of luck. I won't have any laptops. And that is not something that I want to have happen. Not the way the finances are going currently. Oh, by the way, crowdfunding project will start July 1st for the Gaming Gang / the Daily Dope. That's I had to push it back because companies wanted to get on board, didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. I'm talking to quite a few of them at Origins, so to iron stuff out. But anyway, so starting next, I mean, if you follow the Gaming Gang on Twitter, yeah, I'll be popping up images and things like that. But as far as the interviews and that, they won't start popping up until probably Sunday night, just so folks know. But yeah, because I really just don't want to run a risk of something happening to that laptop, be it being stolen out of the hotel room, because that does happen. People don't realize stuff gets stolen out of hotel rooms all the time. Or Elliot's driving, we're taking his van, or something happens with the van. Better not do that. Anyway, all right. So, also added to my Origins coverage is North Star Games, which I knew I'd be talking North Star Games, and Greenbrier Games. I'm going to talk to my friend Julie Ahern from Greenbrier because they actually have a booth this year. They normally focus on Gen Con, but this year they're doing a booth at Origins, and I do believe that they are releasing Barbarian. Gosh, isn't it Barbarian Battlefields? I know it's Barbarian, but where do I have that hiding out? I gotta hide in someplace. Where the heck are you, game? I don't know. Oh, I think it's in my car, maybe. But yeah, I want to say it's Barbarian Battlefields. So look kind of cute. kind of fun. So that should be. I did an unboxing. I just haven't dug into it and started playing it because I didn't realize it was releasing at Origins. I thought it was like July or something, which might still be the case. They might only have so many available at Origins. All right, so I know plenty of folks are tuning in to see what's going on with Fort Sumter, the Secession Crisis 1860 to 1861 from my good friends over at GMT Games. That is right. So, the game is designed by Mark Herman with art provided by Newt Grunitz. Taking a guess here, folks. Why in the world is that coming up? What the heck? Supposed to only have one image here. It's another one of these days where didn't get down here with enough time before the show. Anyway, art provided by Newt Grunitz and Roger B. McGowan. Yes, Roger does tons of stuff for GMT. It's a card-driven game. It is for 2 players and takes about, it's supposed to be about 20 to 45 minutes to play. It does carry an MSRP of $42. So let's swing on over to the other camera. There we go. Nice. As I mentioned, this is something I was really looking forward to. And there we go. Now we're switched over. So, this is pretty much a standard size box for GMT Games. It's a little bit smaller, not by much, just kind of compare. But the game does have a smaller footprint, although the box doesn't necessarily have a real small footprint. So I'm really excited to take a look at this because Mark Herman is pretty much the designer who really brought card-driven games to the fore. And Mark tends to design much more epic games, big epic games. And when I say that, I mean games that are not going to take 25, 45 minutes to play. So he's designed games such as Empire of the Sun, which is the Pacific War, World War II. Phenomenal game, but that is an epic game. You've got Washington's War, which plays a lot quicker than Empire of the Sun, but still does take a bit of time. So most of the time, Mark Herman designs take a few hours to play. So this is pretty cool. I'm pretty pumped for this. It looks very unique. So, got to put on the old specs here to try to see the text because I'm not right on top of this box. But it says, Fort Sumter is a 2-player game portraying the secession crisis of 1860, leading to the bombardment of Fort Sumter and the start of the American Civil War. Fort Sumter pits a Unionist player versus a secessionist player in a 20 to 40 minute game using a small footprint 20-inch by 14-inch mounted map. The heart of Fort Sumter is Mark Herman's card-driven game system. It uses strategy cards for their historic events to control the crisis through political capital. With a new final crisis mechanic, players accelerate the action by breaching crisis zones. Escalation, tension, and final crisis. Beware, aggressive play can gain political advantage, but it can also activate moderates who will attempt to thwart your zeal. Card play allows you to acquire political capital tokens used to compete for control over the crises 4 dimensions. The likes of William Lloyd Garrison, Sam Houston, Jefferson Davis, and Abraham Lincoln also walk on stage as the Southern states dissolve the Union. Fort Sumter puts you in the halls of the crisis that almost destroyed the United States of America. Can you repeat Lincoln's genius to win the crisis and galvanize the Union for war? Or will you, as Davis, fire on Fort Sumter, thereby winning the advantage of the war's first move? Play Fort Sumter to find out. Strangely enough, both of these are correct, right? So, Lincoln did galvanize the Union for war, and Davis did fire on Fort Sumter, winning the advantage of the war's first move. So, that's kind of weird how they got to present it that way. So we're like, yeah, well, both those things happened, so would that mean both players won? What's going on? As mentioned, it is for 2 players. They do rank this as a 4 complexity on a scale of 1 to 9. GMT tends to kind of lowball their complexities sometimes, in my opinion. But this is probably on the money on this one for a 4. Solitaire suitability is pretty poor. It's a 2. So, all right, let's get in this, because I am... Oh, hey, get that plastic over there. Because I am really looking forward to checking this out. Come on, box, let's go. I am actually going to bring this with me to Origins. So, Elliot and I like to sit down and play some 2-player games. And Elliot Miller, my best friend over from voiceofe.com, he and I are teaming up again. So he's going to shoot my interviews. I'm going to shoot his interviews. So if you notice the camera work is sketchy on my interviews, you'll know who to blame. It's not my fault. Anyway, but I already told him I'm going to bring this with, because Elliot is a big fan of Twilight Struggle. I'm bringing 1960 with, Making It the President, because that is an excellent game. We've been enjoying that. And usually we do Twilight Struggle. We do our annual Twilight Struggle challenge at Gen Con. So I'm bringing this with, and I'm going to bring some Hero Realms with. The fantasy card game from White Wizard Games, because he and I both really enjoy that. All right, so we got rules of play. And looks like we are looking at very few rules here. So we got an introductions, talking about the components, talking about important terms, first player, map spaces, crisis dimension, control, crisis track breach. That's when a first political capital token is removed from the crisis track zone. Strategy cards, objective cards. Talking about value, events, move, political capital tokens, and peace commissioner. Talking about the setup. You're going to get a closer look at the map board. Talking about gameplay, sequence of actions each round, playing strategy cards. I always find the card-driven games, the historical card-driven games, usually make an excellent introduction to kind of wargaming, kind of historical gaming for new players or younger players. Now, of course, I certainly wouldn't take something like Empire of the Sun and say, all right, I'm going to show you how to play a card-driven historical game with that, but this looks like this is going to be perfect. Even though you're not controlling armies or anything like that, this is a good, looks like this should be a good entry point to introduce people to historical gaming. Talking about political capital tokens, crisis box tokens, crisis zones. Looks like a little Euro flavor to some of the proceedings here too. Peace Commissioner, pivotal space bonus, crisis dimension scoring, the final crisis, scoring for that, and then event discard, which is an optional rule. And we've got a victory point summary. So that is the rules, all 8 pages of them. Then we got a playbook, very cool. Always love the GMT playbooks. This one, amazingly enough, is 20-some pages. So that is pretty cool. So we're going to get illustrated examples of play. So that is pretty sweet. And examples of play that GMT always includes are usually pretty detailed. So we're seeing here different strategy tips. Yep, looks like this example of play goes on a little bit. Looks like we got about 8 pages. Oh, look, even more. Cool. Anyway, the playbooks are always very, very cool because you get a lot of historical background about what the game is based on. And I always get a kick out of it, and I'm sure it's in here. We're going to see kind of an explanation of each of the cards. So here we've got a very short history of the Secession Crisis. There we go, strategy cards right here. So giving you a historical note. John Brown's body. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Oh, looks like we've got some secession cards too. So Florida, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia. So it looks, taking a guess that we might see kind of the secessionist cards look like they might be red, whereas the unionist might be blue. Sort of like that might be the case. Right. Saw there's a Horace Greeley card there. Then we got some designer notes and strategy tips. Cool. Replayability and balance. Yeah, for a short game, a smaller game like this, that would be very, very important as far as replayability and balancing the game. Honestly, in my opinion, I think replayability is a little more important than the game balance. A lot of times, game balance, you can kind of house rule some stuff to even things up. All right, so let's take a look. Uh-oh, sounds like the kitties are starting to make a little noise. Okay. Cool. There we go. It's upside down. Let's fix that. Alright, so it looks like we've got pretty much enough room here. So it looks like this is the unionist side here. A hidden objective, token pool, final crisis cards. Got the different areas here. So we've got Washington, border states. There's Fort Sumter right there. Montgomery, the Deep South, Fort Pickens. State assemblies. There's Texas, federal arsenals. Then we've got, I believe there's cubes in that going here. It looks like it counts down to the final crisis. Tension, escalation. Got a sequence of play right along the side here, so that's cool. Final crisis, talking about that. Victory point summary. So it looks like everything is pretty much right on the board itself. So if we take a look here, we see there's a map legend. So that's a secessionist space. That's a political space. Nope, sorry. No, I guess that's right. That's a political space. This is a public opinion space. Well, yeah, newspapers. Armament space. Pivotal space effects. Got a round track. Looks like 4 rounds, all in all, possibly. Looks like Lincoln elected, round 1. Buchanan lame duck. Lincoln Davis, and then final crisis. Cool. Yeah, sweet. All right, and looks like we've got a bunch of cubes. Thought I saw some cylinders. Yeah, here we go. Some cylinders there. Plus 10, 0. I wonder if that those are tracking like VPs. Here's another one. It's just a yellow cylinder there. There's Abraham Lincoln. Nah, I'm kidding. I don't know. It's just a little meeple here. I think there's another one. Yep. A couple of meeples. I told you it looked like there was a little bit of a Euro feel to this. A little meeple there. Then we've got the gray. Taking a guess. That's Unionist. And that's Secesh. Then we got cubes. Both blue and gray. Nice. And so far it looks like we've got our typical GMT quality as far as the components and everything. Nice board. Not a huge board. This is very, very... So Drew's popping in. Sorry, it says, I would love to see a playthrough of this game. Any chances I'll do one? Yeah, you know what I'm probably going to do is... And Drew should know this. A lot of times with a lot of games, depends on how really in depth they are. If they're super in depth, then I kind of give kind of an overview of the gameplay. This looks like this is pretty easy to get into. 8 pages of rules. This I will probably do a how to play and the how to play with the review. So probably take, you know, about 45 minutes or so, and do kind of a how to play as well as my review. So, but as I mean, like a complete playthrough, yeah, I don't know, and I don't know. A little difficult when, you know, you're kind of a solo person doing a playthrough with various different, you know, like a real playthrough. But yeah, I will definitely go into detail about how you play Fort Sumter, the Secession Crisis, 1860-1861. Let's take a look at the cards here. Got a deck of the cards. All right, so we've got objective cards. So I saw that. And we got strategy. I think the rest are all going to be strategy cards. Cool. So, the objective. I think these might be where these hidden objective areas come in to the gameplay. So we got abolitionists, newspapers, state assemblies, border states, Deep South. I wonder, maybe it's you're looking to try to control these. Texas, federal arsenals, Fort Pickens, because it seems like each of these cards coincides with an area on the board here. Yep, sure enough. So I'm taking a stab that maybe each player gets one of these objectives, and they need to control that objective at the end of the game for bonus victory points. And again, maybe not. It says objective. If you played this card and control the newspaper's space, you may remove up to 2 tokens from any one space. Maybe these get played as you're playing. Seems like most of these are pretty much the same, though, telling you where you can remove tokens from. So maybe it is something at the end. I don't know. So those are the objective cards, and then we've got the strategy cards. I'm not going to look at all of these strategy cards. So, as with most card-driven games, you're going to have a card that is going to have multiple options for your play. So, and we only just kind of peeked at the rules, so I don't know. I'm just going on a limb here. So I'm going to take a guess. You can either use the card for utilizing points for probably these tokens over here is my guess. Or you can play it as far as what the event allows you to do, or what the historical aspect allows you to do. And maybe this bar down here, that might actually be a third option. Or that might actually be something along the lines of telling you what kind of card this is. Because it does say New York Press, and it does show public opinion. So yes, newspapers would influence public opinion. Got Naval Relief, Gustavus Fox, the Republican Party. There's Honest Abe, Jefferson Davis, Fugitive Slave Law, and it looks like this is an event for either side. Looks like we got a few of these. The Peace Conference, Frederick Douglass, Salmon Chase, Major Anderson, William Lloyd Garrison, Stephen Douglas, Horace Greeley. Go west, young man. Sam Houston, cool. Oh, there you go. P.T. Beauregard. Oh, I should say P.G.T. Beauregard. Most people just refer to him as P.T. Beauregard. All right. Pensacola Armaments. Yeah. So, not a ton of, like, flavor as far as historical flavor on this. As far as on these cards. Calhoun's Legacy. Cool. But that info is in the playbook if you really want to look into it and kind of get an idea about it. So nice. This looks pretty cool. So we've got the strategy deck and the objective deck. We've got the various different cubes and cylinders and little meeples in here. Get these cards on in here. We've got the cool board. That is a cool board. I like that board. I like how it's pretty small. You can just kind of bust it out, and because you know, sometimes you're playing some of these games from like GMT or Flying Pig Games or some of the other kind of war game companies out there, and the boards are like huge. So it's like, oh my gosh, how do I fit this? Thankfully, I could fit that in, and I'm actually zoomed in today with the camera, so I am not having to like reach way up and be like, oh yeah, here's one of the cards. So we also got the playbook, as well as the 8 pages of rules of play, and that is what we find in Fort Sumter, the Secession Crisis, 1860 to 1861. We take everything outside the box. Pretty cool, pretty cool. As I mentioned previously, the game does take about, well, they say 20 to 40 minutes. That sounds, again, it looks like that's probably about right. Earlier I said about 30 to 45 minutes. It's probably ballpark too. But the MSRP for Fort Sumter is $42. That is a pretty good deal. GMT Games, not to say they're not worth it. I really hardly ever run across something from GMT that I don't think is really a steal, based on how much gameplay you'll get out of these games. But $42, that's a pretty nice deal for Fort Sumter. Sweet, from Mark Herman Design. Pretty nice. I will have a review of this in the near future, because not only will I be playing it with Elliot, I'll be playing it with Cameron too. It's pretty easy to get into. Anyway, that is it for today's show. When you're not watching the Daily Dope, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I will be back tomorrow. We are going to take a look at Cataclysm, a Second World War. So we're going to get a peek at this before I shoot off to Origins Game Fair. So until then, have yourself a wonderful Tuesday. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.